So, here we are.
Hello.
Yeah, we're not, I don't expect to have any viewers.
Well, no viewers just yet, but we'll get to prime numbers.
Yes, we will. I'm gonna turn the flash on and see if I can handle it on my own face. So, here you go. I probably look like crap.
That's a little bright.
Is it too bright?
Whoops, I pushed a button.
What button?
This one up here, up toppy top.
Oh, whenever you do anything,
Up there.
it's undo.
Alright.
Right there. Anyway, is that too bright?
No, it's fine.
Alright. So, yeah, I had a story.
Alright, what's the story?
Okay, so everybody's out here for their own reasons. Some of them are like vigil. Like, you know, the original kernel thing was that we would pray and directly make homelessness, you know, the ban of camping go away by everybody putting in their intention, whatever spiritual or non-spiritual intention they had. They put it all right here, and this in itself. So there's been thousands of people. I mean, a lot of people have their heart, you know, somewhere in here there's a soul for like 1,000 people, you know, a lot of people. And then we're reaching it, you know, across the United States, around the world. They know about this vigil because it's been our occupation since December. So, you know, that's some powerful stuff.
Yeah.
And I wanted to tell my motivation of coming here because it was spiritual, and I just don't tell anybody, and I wanted to. So.
That's good. Well, it is true. I understand the spiritual aspect and, you know, just the belief of something bigger. And more or less the hope for something different. You know.
Well, I used to have this demon because I was raised Catholic and I loved Catholicism, but it's just not, it wasn't working for me. So my mom made a joke, once a Catholic, always a Catholic. And I'm totally into the rosary. And I just work it, man. I just love it. And I never wanted to deny the whole Jesus thing. It felt good in some ways because I had this really cool prayer as a kid. So I just put it on hold. And I went, okay, I'm not going to deny, but I'm not going to address this. There's a dichotomy in my mind. I'm, you know, looking at it two different ways, and the whole Son of God thing just didn't work for me. And so I just went, I can love you, but not really dwell on all of the issues that I have. And so I held myself back in Catholicism school a year and gave myself time to talk to a priest. And in the end, I decided not to get confirmed because I didn't believe it. So I just kind of put myself on hold with that whole thing. So without analyzing it too much, and figured, okay, well, I'll just pray for all that to get resolved someday. And then this roundabout thing happened where all my interpretations of what I thought people were telling me, and a lot of people told me the Bible meant and how it was phrased, and it meant this and this and this, and it was real ugly. I didn't like how people used it. I didn't like the way they used it as currency, about for me to respect them or listen to them or whatever.
Yeah.
I ran across some pamphlet in the Vigil of all things. I mean, this is kind of crazy. And I thought it was one of those, you know, it was a Jesus thing, Amazing Life of Christ. And I was looking in here to find out who put it out, like to find out if it was somebody who was like on a, basically you get to the end of these books and the rant is, and that's why gays go to hell. And I'm like, I took it out of here. And then I looked at it, and it had nothing to do with any of that. It was just your standard life of Christ. Here's these periods of time, and it was in there. I have this other one.
The Amazing Life of Jesus Christ.
That's right. It sounds like a movie. Starring Jesus. Anyway.
Starring Graham as Jesus.
So I have this other one. It's Buddha, Inner Buddha or something like that. And I got that from Dan. He's like, give it to anyone who wants it, or who needs it, he said. I took it. I needed it.
Yeah?
I was out here in the winter, and it was pretty rad. because my husband and I both like religions, various religions. We don't like what hate that people use it for, because that's like the opposite of the intent of spirituality, even, is to like use it for hate.
It's totally the opposite of the intent, given the fact that shitloads of wars have been started over religious conflict based on separation of belief,
Right.
different belief.
So I came up with this religion where I was basically thinking that everything was God, and that includes the human being. And it's sacrilege, apparently, to not think that the only thing holy in you is a soul that departs after life and goes back to heaven like you rented it. And I was like, no, dude, everything is holy. And I found out that I could call myself Christian and believe in Jesus as an example, and a special example, like the utmost example of self-sacrifice for love, and well, all this stuff. What I don't get about the vigil and the whole everybody in the city is we get people who just chastise everybody for being homeless with all their assumptions. And if you look at all of these periods of time, including Jesus, that was going on, same stuff, no different day. And yet we're what, like 80% Christian or something in Portland for religion of choice, and the only thing Jesus ever talked about was how you treat the poor, how you treat your brothers, how you treat me, and the only way through heaven is me. So every single time he talks, it's always about the poor. And we had all disciples and the guys who wrote I don't know, I have one in.
Wouldn't that be basically based also on the times, given that in the time the Jews were the predominant of money holders as well as poor? There's plenty of
not a money
poor.
holder thing going on. What there was,
But there was
kings.
it was a corporation they were forming.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
They were forming a corporation based on the blood of their own people.
Oh, I do know something about that, because there's an Apocrypha book, Judith, and there was a guy who was warning his king before he went in and attacked the Jews. He was like, okay, be careful, because if the Jews are doing their thing where they're praying and they're observing their sacraments and so forth, God will protect them and you will die. And if they are not, they're just like everybody else. If they're being greedy or if they're being blasphemous or whatever, go in and you can take them like any other tribe that you just smite for your own power. But anyway, this guy was pissed off because he thought he was God and he didn't like the implications, so he made him go over with the Jews. He's like, if you think that they're protected, you can go over and be on their side. I won't even kill you. I'll just let you bet your life on what you just told me. And of course, the king died. And then there was the whole femme fatale in there that was really awesome. But I don't know. I know that there are times where you're talking about like Jews when they were not following, and they were hurting themselves and each other or whatever. And then there's the times where they were. So that's a biblical, major historical thing. That's not to do with me, but it's cool. I just wanted to say that, like, all that whole Bible making sense to me, I was here because I figured you gotta love, you gotta sacrifice. There's gonna be people who fillet you. The more you give, the worse it gets. And those words about, oh, your reward will be in heaven, and etc. To me, what that means is, I don't look at it like that afterlife, like, oh yay, earth is over and now I'm in heaven, and my reward for this token nothingness of earth. Earth is everything to me to protect and care about, but the reward isn't going to be here. You're not going to get anybody patting on you on the back. If you're doing your best, you're going to go through hell, and you're going to not mind. It's going to be hard, and then you're going to learn how to deal with it being hard, and it's going to get hard, and you're going to learn how to deal with it being hard.
Actually, I feel the reward itself is the capability of dealing with the hardships.
There you go, because it's what you build in yourself to say, I give a shit. I really care, and I'm willing. Because you're willing to help your brother. And so, this is why today was special.
See, I stand for the Army values too. Sadly enough, it sounds all tyrannous saying Army values, but I'm talking. I believe in loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage.
Yeah.
And with those things, it spells out a crappy version of leadership.
But what
But
you're saying about being able to live outside and be home free
I am home free.
fits in with building your own skills. To me, it's like surfing. You're not going to calm the ocean.
Yeah.
You're just going to get better on the board. And if you're waiting for a calmer ocean, you're going to get, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna get taken out if you're waiting for calm waters.
Yeah. And
But
it's going to get rough. And I think everybody here around me are soldiers in that sense that bring it on, because you can't put me back in a place where I would trade knowing and fighting for being comfortable again. My eyes are open, and there is nothing, there's no bribe, there's no way to make it cushy and easy for me anymore, because I'm feeling the suffering around me, and I can't hide from that and be in my own little world anymore. And I'm getting more and more acclimated to being here, as this is my family, because these people are fighting. You know, so I don't know, at the end of the camp I saw what happened to half of the people, even more of the ones that held down the camp, which enabled the entire movement. And the people who ran and retreated indoors and then shit on everybody, I'm sorry,
I didn't retreat indoors. I retreated to Astoria to pick mushrooms to come back to have everybody tripping with me. But then I got ditched up there when camp was closing.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about people who snubbed their nose at everybody who held the camp down, who was houseless, saying that houselessness is not what the movement's about. And those people are pretty much gone, because they went and joined their organizations and broke off from Occupy. And they don't want to have the name Occupy with them anymore, for the reason that it's easier to go out and be your organization without the stigma
of homeless people,
of Occupy's bad rep, what the community thought we did. But I would rather fight for the reality of what happened by challenging in the court. My friends are actually going to reverse people's consciousness. We are winning. The Department of Justice is investigating not just the way that the police abuse mentally ill people. They're investigating everybody who got abused by police. And so not only are these trials happening and Colonel's court case and people not guilty of various things.
I would love to point out one thing.
What's that?
That sign there is on a Hollywood video banner.
Doesn't it say going out of business?
Yeah, going out of business. I think they're there.
That's funny. Hollywood Video wasn't censoring their movies like Blockbuster, though. I didn't like the way Blockbuster censored content. They seem to have quite the political view about what we should watch. Go Netflix.
Yeah, they also had I hate it when people have a political view of what people should eat. You know, any controls.
Hey, that's like my life, but I'm not trying to do it against you. I'm trying to do it against corporations.
It's kind of more or less along the lines of
Oh, you mean like vegetarian saying is politically wrong for you?
Or? No. I'm talking when people try to enforce it via laws. Example, going like
raw milk.
Well, you look at a lot of menus, and they have calorie counters on a lot of menus. You go to a 5-star restaurant in some ritzy ass fucking hotel, there's no fucking calorie counters, but they're feeding you fucking shitloads of calories.
Right.
Loading it up with all the oil and the beautiful things you love to taste. But either way, I swear that's almost like this tattoo I wanted to get. And it's based on the fact that a lot of people tended to continuously feed me their morals. So
what's the tattoo?
I wanted to get morals tattooed on my dick so I could return the favor and say, hey.
That's very funny.
Hey, right after I said that. Oh, wait, I think actually just before I said that, we obtained a viewer.
Oh no. I was telling my story about how I got here spiritually, and so you've come at an interesting moment in that story. Hi, viewer. So, could I just finish up what I was saying about here, which is totally different, but...
Alright, yeah.
Alright, so, right now, I'm going to go back to some of this contemplation that the vigil gave me, and I'm going to take some of the negativity that I felt recently and feel like it goes with the territory, and it's an honor, because none of that stuff would be happening to me or feeling this way if we weren't putting ourselves on the line as individuals. That's the trial right there, is somebody's gonna, you know, and this is the whole city, you know, that they get after Occupy, they get after the vigil, they get after us as individuals, you know. If we cannot fight amongst ourselves, it's beautiful, but sometimes it'll happen, and in that time, I'm going to try to say thank you, because I wouldn't be here. This is not the cushiest, you know, prettiest life. This is the most rewarding life. So I got to remember that that's part of the reward, as twisted as it sounds. You know what my mom calls it? She calls it a hardship of abundance.
Yeah.
She gave me an example. Their basement was flooding, and it was really difficult. They ruined some carpeting, and you know, they were trying to bucket it out, and she felt like crying. Something got destroyed, and she's like, "Wait a minute, none of this would have happened if I didn't have a house, if I didn't have carpet."
Mm-hmm.
So she reframed it. All right, so any hardship that I have at the vigil is because I'm here with my comrades fighting for something, and it's a beautiful thing. It's the most powerful thing I've had come along, and my husband too. You know, even though he's not here, he is here. He'll be watching on live stream, or he'll be calling me, and
Ernie's a good dude.
He is, and he's with us, and we've been, you know what he offered to do? He said that we could move downtown so I could occupy more easily without the burden of carrying the coffee and everything so far.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd be willing to hop on the bus to go to work all the way back to Clackamas. So my volunteer job is what we see as our job that we do together. His job enables that work, not just my work, but his, and volunteering and stuff.
Yeah.
I like to say, you know, I don't have time for a job. I'm too busy working. You know, but tomorrow I'm going to do some work at a food bank with Kelly, and volunteers can have some food, so I'm going to have some food. Otherwise I wouldn't this week. Nuts, you know, fresh vegetables or whatever that she grew.
Yeah.
And help her with the campaign a little bit. And, you know, so I'm actually working in my field of, you know, the food and the anti-oppression.
Were you in the food anti-oppression field before?
Yeah. Not like GMO-free Portland was my baby, and it's, you know, Ernie and I brought my pamphlet even, and brought it for somebody so they wouldn't eat like corporate
I think you
food. If they
probably
didn't want
brought
to.
it for me quite a while ago when I was just chilling out here once, and then
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
and then
I know that people were really into talking about like fluoride and stuff, and demonstrating, even though we were at the vigil, there's so many of us who were just really upset. I think the biggest part about the fluoride was that they would vote it 5-0 and try to push it past voters when we're all going, hey, Portland has the best water in the nation, you fucker, get away from it. We've already voted it down twice. Why are our leaders? And then we're following the money. So it's just this heinous example. And, you know, it's all going to, those kinds of things are going to determine who gets the election. You know, but there's still going to be 3 or 4 of them.
I wonder if they'd have a different pitch on the vote if we were to vote dog crap into the water.
Well, not if they were getting paid.
Well, I'm talking if I threw them a 20 and said, "Hey, vote dog crap into the water."
Yeah.
You think they'd consider it for a moment?
I think we should put a petition in
Or I'd
I
hold.
really like the farcical petition idea, you know, when Tequila wanted to vote Sam Adams the leader of Occupy because nobody had been coming to the GA, and we thought that would be funny because he's like, you know, he's pretty much dictating our movement, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be out here as driven as I am. So in a lot of ways, and he's the mayor already, so, you know, respect for that, he's really the leader of Occupy. He's really driving this with his stupidity, and I just laughed so hard. I was like, I love it. And we
Yeah.
could just make it until the end of his term, you know. And then maybe GA attendance, because we voted that, would turn up. But, you know, I mean,
I should be voted king of the world.
I think we should vote.
Yeah, we can vote me king of the world. Come on, I'm home free, happy, healthy, not hungry, and
So somebody,
I wish you a
Amanda
nice day.
Fritz said that the reason, now this is a rumor, all right, she told the guy who wanted to build the homes out of various railroad
Oh.
cars, which you
What?
got, say battery something?
Oh, it's that thing. Ah,
Under-
haha.
Okay. She said to this guy, well, if we cure homelessness, people on the street, more people will come here. Like, everybody's saving the space in the doorway so we don't have to have, you know, we don't have to have new homeless people. I was like, really? So I came up with about 5 solutions that I thought of in just a few minutes based on talking to people about what folks need. And they're, like, they cost nothing. And they're really good. And one of them was lockers. That wasn't even mine. That was somebody. We're just saying we should have lockers. I think JJ was saying we should paste them on the side of government buildings or in alcoves in government buildings, especially ones that aren't being used. And we started working out the details in our head about how cool that would be, because everybody could just, you know,
Yeah,
you
but
wouldn't
then
have to be identified everywhere you go.
the only sad
Yeah.
sad part about that would be then you'd have to have someone to monitor the lockers.
So what? We need jobs, and they're already making jobs that
It'd
are
be-
oppressing people.
yeah.
Why not just turn those jobs into helping people?
It'd be cool to have that. It'd be cool to have that, but with the monitoring, there would also be more opportunities for people to sit there and be like, oh, well,
Well, yeah.
I'm gonna
you'd have
steal
to be
crap because
willing-
I'm a douche.
You'd have to be willing to put something into it to make it work.
Hmm.
And considering they spend $500,000 on one unit of housing, that shit would stop if houseless people were at the table deciding how they spent their money. They would not spend $500,000 per unit of housing and then have 2,500 people left over after the shelters are full and close down half of the. Yeah, I mean that would stop. So they don't want them there because they're making money off the justice system and the TriMet and everything else. So I'm pretty sure that they're invested in keeping people homeless. And, but the opposite of what Amanda Fritz apparently said and other people have said.
Well, back to the 5
you
reasons,
could get-
5 things you could do.
Right. Okay, but if you could get people just to survive easily, people who want to lift themselves up, they would get an apartment. If you could skip rent for 6 months and be totally fine and not get sick and not get in jail, people would not want to stay on the street. They would lift themselves up. In the meantime, so I thought
You
under
can
the
skip
bridge-
rent to a degree.
Yeah, under the bridge, there's parking lots. And what if, and this takes money to monitor, and only people who wanted this kind of structure would go there, but it would be like a regular RV park, except you put up a tent, you rent the space, sliding scale. So you've got absolutely nothing. And that includes your SSI and everything that you have as income. If you've got nothing, you don't pay anything. And there'd be some, you know.
Section 8 tenting.
What?
Section 8 tenting.
Yeah, I guess.
Because
But
Section
it's integrated.
Section
It's
8
not-
housing's already in effect.
But is it integrated? Can anybody of any wealth amount go to Section 8 housing? I think you have to be poor. See, this is the problem. What if we
Well,
had
no, my
everybody together?
mom has income, but she's been Section 8 for 16 years now.
Okay.
She's been
So
in
there's a
Section 8.
sliding scale. So if you have nothing, you pay nothing. If you have something, you pay something. If you have a lot, you pay a lot. And in the meantime, none of it's anyone's business who has what, and we can live together and not think about that. And that way, because if you just make it so that poor people only live with poor people, when actually a lot of people have a desire to just live with each other. They're just communal that way, and they don't do that. They
Yeah.
want to take care of one another. If you segregate the poor, then they're voiceless, which is why Occupy was so weird, because nobody knew who was poor and who was houseless. We were just together,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the people who the movement was built on were the people who were able to put a tent down. And a lot of those folks didn't have homes, because people who had homes would find it very difficult to be paying their mortgage while not living there. You know, that's a pretty hard deal. If you have trouble meeting your rent and then to not even be there.
I know plenty of people that had tents that also had jobs and houses, income.
Houses, right? Well, I know a
Um,
lot of people out here who have jobs who don't have houses, and I mean, there's a variety, right? But I'm saying that there were people who had houses and people who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it was not necessarily anyone's business who was who. What mattered is that your basic needs were met in order for you to be able to participate on a level higher than survival. And so some of the hardest core Occupy people with, you know, the brains and the diligence and, you know, experience, they were previously in survival mode, where all they could do is just make sure that they didn't get screwed with and could sleep and etc. So over here we got this community where people are advocating for themselves and each other and other people they don't even know, and there's some safety there just because there's community. Well, I want to live in a community. I don't want to live in an apartment. And Ernie felt the same way.
Well, you
We
should
don't want to be apart.
yeah,
We
you
want to be in a communal way where we have maybe a shared living space and then separate units. And the units don't have to be, they could be pallet homes, they could be small, they could, you know, just be a yurt or something. But I want to be outside more, because just apart from everything, building myself up in a bubble of indoor air conditioning or whatever, the problem is that being away from nature is twisting us, and being away from each other is pitting us against each other. So I want to live a bit more outdoors, not this outdoors. This is going to get hard in winter, and I'm going to be here a lot of those nights.
Well, there are obvious reasons for
Shelter.
being in a house.
Yeah.
As well,
But you gotta have a combination.
you don't not necessarily just for shelter. More or less, it's a comfortable, safe environment for children.
Well,
And if
privacy too.
and if we can create
Peace.
privacy, peace, a lock on your door for
Yeah.
the peace.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Just
I'm
feeling
not
safe.
knocking shelter. I'm just saying I feel like, okay, here I went to school, which is like a bubble of
Mhm.
walls around me, and
Yeah.
I got in my car, which is a bubble, and I went to the store, which is a bubble,
Mm-hmm.
and then what I called the outside was like the environment, like it was the other, and really
It's the
reverse.
giant bubble.
It's outside people. That's what it's called. It's called outdoors. And the environment is really this hermetically sealed little bubble that I live in, where I don't even get sun because I'm too busy on the computer. That would be the environment. That's the fake environment. The other is called outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to be outside more. I want to be less, like, okay, here's another example. My feet are rough.
Rainbow Bright boots.
Underneath here, under my sock, is a rough foot. It's got some coloration with
Probably from-
calluses. I have this little thing where I could make my feet all nice and soft. And I was like, wait a minute, why would I do that? That would just kind of basically hinder my feet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I want to be adapted. I don't want to be the person with the smooth feet that go ow, ow, ow when I walk on the ground.
Well, actually, it's kind of funny because
Metaphorically.
I do a lot of skateboarding. I've put a couple 100 miles on this
Wow.
brand new skateboard.
Really? Already?
Yeah, it's 2 days old, or 3 days old now. I've already put a couple 100 miles on it, just because I mob all over Portland, like all over. And when I mob, I'm mobbing for like 16 hours a day, at roughly car speed. So like car traffic speed. So
And actually, you had a little run-in with your butt.
yeah, and I touched my butt to a car, to a Kia
While
Soul,
moving.
while crossing over the Max tracks on 6th Street, on whatever that street is that starts with a C on the other side of Wells Fargo there.
Columbia.
Yeah,
Flag.
yeah, Columbia, or yeah, I think it's Columbia. That was a close one. I'm glad I steered out of that one and didn't get ran over or thrown
I
off
am
my
too.
board.
I am too.
But yeah, it was pretty fun, kind of scary. But still, my feet. Back to the yeah, they developed my left foot for some reason gets more callous because I push with that foot, and I tend to wear it down to even it off with the other one.
Oh, okay, right. Because I like people who have a fingernail that grows longer because they want to pick the guitar, or you know,
Well, I think it's
or calluses on your fingers from playing guitar that you don't. I could sand those a little bit down. I could
it's
make
more or
it, like,
less the muscly single arm due to extraneous single arm activity with that one arm.
Thank you. Like skateboarding.
Kind of like skateboarding as far as pushing with one foot. You know, I get the callus on one foot. If you're a normal person and you do this thing called walking, well then you develop them evenly.
Oh yeah. So have you been skating with pushing off on the other foot too?
I switch it up. I switch it up a lot.
Because eventually, will
a little
the
more
callus
than
be so much that you'll tilt on your side a little bit when you walk? It'll just build up so high that you're like, whoa, Graham.
No, it's not gonna. It's not
100
gonna.
miles in a couple days.
It's not gonna be a platform.
Okay, good.
It's not gonna form
I
into.
don't want to see that.
It won't get any fatter than my shoe will allow it. But
Yay.
But like on top.
Oh, that Graham. He used to be a handsome guy, but then he skateboarded himself sideways.
Yeah. See. How it tends to work
Girls
out.
don't like that.
How it tends to work out trying to push with the other foot skateboarding, it tends to it throws off your balance because when you're skateboarding you essentially stand sideways. I always stand with my right shoulder forward, but I can stand with my left shoulder forward and push with my right foot instead of my left foot, and it makes it's a difficult thing to do. So
I want to be around when you're skateboarding, but I won't be able to keep up. So I would be behind. So you would have to have like a sidecar for me to tour around town.
I won't be able to do sidecar on a skateboard.
I don't think so.
Sidecar on a skateboard won't allow me to push switch.
I know. But it's a funny idea. I weigh less than I did when I started occupying, so it won't be so bad. I'm going, maybe, in a few months I might lose 10 or 15 more, but I still think whatever I am, this might be a little hard with a sidecar. Girl sitting down.
Pushing. Yeah. We'd be better off relying on bikes.
I could get an oar and help you.
I guess you could get an oar, or perhaps,
like Monty Python.
The sidecar could have a pedal and a single wheel, and you can pedal that one wheel, but hopefully you don't pedal fast enough to change my speed.
I think that would be a little while. It would be like
that'd be weird trying to steer though.
What do you call that? What my dad did.
I don't know what your dad did.
You glide on the water with your team crew.
Oh,
crew,
yeah.
Right? Rowing.
You're talking like dragon boating, or just
rowing with more than one person.
Yeah, multiple people rowing in unison.
Remember. Hey, do we have a chat room on there?
Do you have
anything blue on the side? There's a little button that looks like
there is a button for
press the blue, and so it's blue. Is it there?
Just popped in to say solidarity. Hey.
Hey, who's that?
This is Fuzzits.
Oh yeah. When was
Video
that?
is frozen, by the way.
Oh.
Okay, video good now. All right.
Yeah?
Thank you, Fuzzits.
Hey, Fuzzy, is that you right now? Because we didn't look at the chat. So find out if Fuzzy says anything else.
Yeah, Fuzzy's here. He said take care.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's heading out.
Oh shoot, man, it's good to see you.
I'm kind of wondering who else was on chat. I really should have been checking that. We've been on for 35 minutes and
That's okay. I really didn't want to go get distracted. I had something to get off my chest. You know, that my spiritual center is going to get me through some stuff really happily.
Well, could we perhaps move the conversation over towards the Justice Center?
I think so. I think we should go out on the town and do some regular like visual TV now.
All right.
So let me show you here's the producer talking. Let me show you what you got to do next. You got to tell the viewers you're going to leave and then come right back because you want to save the video to let them know.
All right. Yeah, we could either leave and come right back, save the video and all that such. In fact, I'm just gonna hand it to Mary so she can.
No, come on.
Damn it.
Press the red button that says stop. You see that on the screen?
All right.
Bye.